I am done with this year of school. I finished exams this morning, and I'm so I'm so happy. I have everything to do this summer. Like, it's not one thing. The list is infinite. So I'm gonna start off the first day with hours and hours of work, and I'm so excited. I have to take some pictures of my geckos because somebody's asking about purchasing them, and I have like a ton of baby geckos, so I should try to start selling them. So these tanks are getting taken down. I need to take down this tank down here. I need to move the goldfish outside, and then these tanks, I'll move any goldfish into the 125 gallon, and then the snail to the 125 gallon. These fish will go outside. The turtle's in the 125 gallon right now. It's going to go outside to a tub. I am ecstatic for today. It was like this feeling of absolute dread and like complete excitement because I both had to do the exams this morning, and I was really excited about this time now, and now it's this time, and the exams are done. So I'm ecstatic. I'm trying to figure out how these work. Probably not this close, probably like down here. But if I have two at the same time, does that screw it up? Can you hear me now? What about now? Is it just as well? How does that work? How does it work? How's it work? I got a microphone! This should hopefully help cut out a lot of the background noise in my room. So as we watch all the inside fish tanks get taken down for the summer, I'm going to talk about why I was so stressed about all those exams. I remember the 2020/2021 school year being particularly difficult for me. It was my sophomore year of high school, COVID hit during my freshman year, and we all got sent home in the spring of 2020. This led to a very long, extended summer before my sophomore year. I know this was a very hard time for everyone, and I was very fortunate to not be too negatively impacted by the pandemic. At home, life was very similar to how it had been, but I just was not really able to hang out with anyone throughout that long summer. This did not faze me too much. I would describe my freshman, sophomore version of myself as still quite antisocial or internally occupied. It took me a while to kind of come out of my shell and be the person I am today. Anyway, during that long summer, I really devoted myself to animals. And because I had so much time at home, I really expanded the number of animals under my care. That can be seen if we look back at the number of reptiles that I took in or bought off of Craigslist for each of the last 6 years. In 2019, I got 4 new reptiles. In 2020, I got 5. In 2021, I got 9 new reptiles. 2020, I got 1. 2023, I got 1, and 0 so far for 2024. This is only including the reptiles that I still have and did not produce myself, but you can certainly see a spike in 2019, 2020, and 2021. When we came back to school for my sophomore year, we went into a hybrid system. Now, fortunately, I am rather resilient to online classes, so the hybrid system did not affect my grades. I feel like this needs to be appreciated on its own. I finally broke the moss, as you cannot see back there. That filter at the top of it is covered in this nice moss. And here some is. I'll have to stick it in, actually probably in here, because it's the only place that I can actually grow moss, as you can see. Unfortunately, I'm not going to incorporate this piece of wood anywhere, so it was cool while it lasted. However, during the school year of 2020/2021, I was suddenly taking care of dozens of reptiles, fish, and insects. I was raising goats and chickens for 4-H. I was helping plan the Marion County Fair through my participation in Junior Fair Board, and I was making multiple YouTube videos per week. This was all on top of the fact that I took 18 credit hours of college classes on top of 4 high school classes that year. So I was attending 6 to 7 classes every day. In addition to this, at that time, I was hand feeding each and every gecko that I owned. My point with all of this is not to brag or anything. My point is that that was probably my toughest year of high school, and maybe of my life. Mentally, I think I was surviving somehow, but physically, I was severely sleep deprived. I do not say that lightly. I was consistently getting between 5 and 3 hours of sleep each night. There were genuinely nights that I would get an hour of sleep and then get up to go to school. Again, this is not impressive. This was extremely unhealthy. Sometimes I do wish I still had the drive that I had in those days, but ultimately it was unhealthy. Now that I've lived through it, I suppose I'm glad that part of my life happened because I find there are valuable lessons to take from it.
So I was out here working on the tub for a little turtle, and I realized that I wasn't filming, and I saw this guy. So I was standing on these two, or on this thing. There's Susan. I was propping myself up here to work in the tub, and I tried to put my foot over there, and there's a frog sitting there. So this guy makes a racket. He makes a lot of noise a lot of the time. Hopefully it doesn't get in because the turtles would totally eat him.
After that school year, I had to reevaluate my priorities. This is largely the reason why I do not make as many YouTube videos as I used to. There are 24 hours in a day, and around 7 to 9 of those have to be dedicated to sleep. School and my animals have always been at the top of my priorities, and some days, once I have those taken care of, there's only enough time to go to bed. I've also learned there is great value in efficiency. I no longer hand feed every one of my crested geckos.
This frog is living life close to the edge. With that thing lurking around, the massive Susan, I would not be that close to the water if I were it. Anyway, I think this looks pretty cool. I don't think it'll be able to get out from here, and there's just a lot of area for it to get up and bask if it wants to. Have a nice bush cutting here, lots of moss going around. If that stays, that'd be good. And I need to go get an extension cord so I can plug that in. I can go ahead and add in the turtle. I'd prefer it not bow out, but I guess it is what it is.
And honestly, I think they are better for it. But it is not only that. Today, I try to provide my animals with the largest, most naturalistic enclosures I can because it is better for them, and in many cases, it requires less maintenance from me. It continues to be my goal to provide the best, most efficient housing for my animals that I can. In addition to this, it is easier to do when you have less animals. Now, this might be hypocritical of me to say because I likely have more reptiles, fish, and insects than I did in 2021. However, I made a change by specializing. What I mean by this is that I try my best to keep animals that are similar to each other because it is easier to care for a group of animals that all have similar husbandry requirements. I used to focus on taking in turtles, taking in geckos. At one point, I was just taking in any reptiles anyone would give me, and on top of this, I was starting to breed geckos. I've stopped taking in turtles because they are very labor intensive to care for. I stopped taking in geckos because they are quite finicky after transitions. Now I have my pet turtles, pet iguana, pet bearded dragon, but I primarily focus on breeding tropical arboreal geckos. This is much more manageable than having an entire animal ranch type system with a large diversity of animals under the care of a single person. So take what you will from this. If you are starting off in the reptile keeping hobby, please take your time and be patient. I know it is exciting to get new animals, but it is also very exciting to provide the best care for the animals that you can and watch them thrive. Also, please get some sleep. I know you might not want to hear that. It was the last thing I wanted to be told when I was an adolescent, but it is very important for your health. If you are still growing up, your brain development is dependent on getting a good night's rest. As I've explained in recent past videos, the goldfish live out here in this 300-gallon stock tank year-round, and they do just fine even when it completely freezes over, as it did quite a few days this winter. But we're not out of the winter yet. It is still February of 2024. In around May, I will be able to move my turtles out of my room and into the 300-gallon stock tank so they can get natural sunlight during the summer, and I cannot have turtles in my room, so I am pretty excited about that. For now, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, stay tuned for next week. There should be another video out, and have a great day.